Have you ever been ghosted? I don't mean the modern kind, where someone stops responding to your texts. I mean really ghosted, where the person you loved most in the world vanishes so completely, you start to wonder if they were ever real at all. That's what happened to me. But my story isn't about being ghosted. It's about becoming the ghost. I used to be Emma Carter. Used to be. These days I'm not so sure what I am. A journalist. A phantom. A cautionary tale. Maybe all three. But let me start at the beginning. Back when I still had a reflection. Back when I thought I understood how the world worked. I met Jake Holloway at a coffee shop in Seattle. It was raining, because of course it was, and he offered to share his umbrella. Classic meet cute, right? We dated for 2 years. He proposed on New Year's Eve, under fireworks that painted the sky in colors I can still see when I close my eyes. 3 months later, he disappeared. No note. No explanation. Just gone. The night Jake vanished, I came home to find his keys on the kitchen counter. His phone was there too. Factory reset. The engagement ring I'd worn sat next to it, looking dull under the fluorescent lights. I called his parents, his friends, his workplace. Nobody had seen him. Nobody knew anything. The police said there was no evidence of foul play. Adults, they explained, have the right to disappear. I didn't sleep for days. I kept expecting to wake up and find it was all a nightmare. Instead, I started seeing things that couldn't be real. It began with Sarah from accounting. She was always checking her phone, jumping whenever it buzzed. One day I saw why. Behind her desk stood a man, translucent, distorted, his face twisted in a permanent sneer. He would lean in close, whisper things I couldn't hear, and Sarah would flinch. Later, I learned about Tom, her ex, who had systematically destroyed her self-esteem over 3 years before leaving her for her best friend. Then I saw them everywhere. Phantoms clinging to people on the street. Some were barely visible. Wispy shapes of old summer flings and forgotten first kisses. Others were horrifyingly solid. Dark things that wrapped around their victims like poison ivy. Thorns digging deep into flesh that nobody else could see bleeding. I thought I was losing my mind. That's when I met Cassie. I found her card in a New Age shop, wedged between crystal healing pamphlets and tarot readings. Below that, in smaller text, Cassandra Tran, emotional trauma specialist. For those who are haunted. Her office wasn't what I expected. No crystals, no sage. Just a pragmatic space with comfortable chairs and a white noise machine. Cassie herself wore a blazer and looked more like a CEO than a mystic, too. She listened to my story without interrupting, occasionally making notes in a leather-bound journal. "You're not crazy," she said when I finished. "But you're not exactly sane either. None of us are. Not anymore." Welcome to the Ghosted Support Group. The basement of an old church. Folding chairs in a circle. Coffee that tasted like it had been brewing since the Reagan administration. And people. God, so many people, Gap One. All with the same haunted look in their eyes. Some had ghosts hovering behind them, others seemed ghost-free. But they all could see what I saw. Cassie explained, emotional energy doesn't just disappear. When a relationship ends, especially traumatically, it leaves behind a residue. Most people process it naturally, but sometimes, when the wound is deep enough, when the questions go unanswered long enough, that energy takes shape. It becomes something else. Something hungry. I learned that there were ways to banish these ghosts. Salt circles. Binding rituals. Emotional closure ceremonies that looked suspiciously like group therapy with extra candles. Some worked better than others. I started helping people using my newfound sight to identify hauntings and assist with exorcisms. But I couldn't shake my own ghost. Jake's phantom followed me everywhere. It would rearrange things in my apartment when I wasn't looking. Move my keys, change the temperature on my thermostat. Small things that made me question my grip on reality. The worst part? It never spoke. just watched, waited, smiled that familiar smile that used to make me feel safe but now sent ice through my veins. One night, after a particularly successful exorcism, I came home to find my apartment in chaos. Papers everywhere. Photos torn from walls. And there, sitting in Jake's favorite chair, was his ghost. But something was wrong. It looked scared of me. Then my phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize. But I knew, somehow I knew, who it was. Emma? It was Jake's voice, exactly as I remembered it. We need to talk. We met at our old coffee shop. Jake looked different, older, grayer. Behind him, hovering like a storm cloud, was not the me sitting at the table ordering coffee with trembling hands. Another me. Spectral, vengeful, beautiful and terrible. How long have you been seeing her? I asked. Since the day I left, he whispered. And then I understood. I hadn't been seeing ghosts of other people's failed relationships. I had become one. Cassie performed the ritual. Confessions. Forgiveness. Closure. My ghost screamed. A sound like breaking glass and breaking hearts. Then silence. Is it over? Jake asked. I thought it was. Three months later. Jake and I haven't spoken since. I stopped seeing ghosts. But sometimes, late at night, I catch glimpses of something in mirrors. A familiar shape. A loving smile turned cruel. And I wonder, a young couple, a new love, and behind her reflected in the window. Well, some hauntings never really end. They just evolve.